To any of those who feel let down or disappointed or disillusioned, it is my job to earn your trust, faith, and support. And I will spend every day of this campaign, and if I have the privilege, every day in the United States Senate doing exactly that.
Graham Platner punches his ticket, but now he's got to convince voters to choose him over a 5-term senator. Good morning, everybody. I'm Audie Cornish. Here is where we begin that big statement out of Maine. Democrat Graham Platner, despite all the scandals, earned about 3/4 of primary voter support over Governor Janet Mills. Moments after clinching the nomination, he turned his attention to his new opponent, Republican Senator Susan Collins.
Susan Collins may have started her career decades ago in Washington with good intentions, but she has become just as spineless and corrupt as the establishment she now serves. If you are an independent voice, why do you vote with Donald Trump 95% of the time?
Platner has a lot of work to do to get Mills voters on his side.
I couldn't honestly support Platner, even though some of the things that he says are really good.
I don't think he's ready to be a senator. I'm leaning towards Collins unless the guy shows something else. But I just, he's not there yet.
And so what will you do in November if it's Platner versus Collins?
That's a really good question. I'm a Democrat, but I voted for Susan Collins several times because I think that she does care about the state of Maine, but it's going to be a real problem for me in November.
So today in the group chat, Mike Leone, host of the Can We Please Talk podcast, Jerrett Stepman, columnist with the Daily Signal, and Max Rose, former Democratic congressman from New York. And Max, I'm actually going to start with you because you're with VoteVets, which means you guys had a dog in the fight in this race. You guys have been giving a lot of money across the country. And what is it? Let me just show what's at stake here. Democrats' chances of flipping the Maine Senate seat. It was pretty good. Maybe this has jeopardized it. We're going to show people a chart while you're talking so you can see what's at stake. Is this race as close as you all hoped it would be now that Graham has struggled with these scandals?
The race is always going to be close because...
Not with a 5-term senator, it's not. A lot of times it can be a blowout, right? Like, how do you look at what he needs to accomplish?
I think that we're saying the same thing in essence, right? Susan Collins is tough to beat. What I would say about the Susan Collins race is that we've seen in the past is you're not going to win this seat by electing a Susan Collins light or putting forward a Susan Collins light in a race. You are going to beat her by energizing your base, particularly in a midterm election. There is no doubt, though, that this election has got to be a referendum on Susan Collins, on the ways in which she has voted to empower Donald Trump, on her refusal to hold Donald Trump accountable, on the ways in which she has said, oh, I might be fair, but I want to take health care away from millions of people. Says the right thing often, does the wrong thing very frequently.
So this is very much the message we hear over and over again. And I love that Platner in front of him, it said, they don't know Maine. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Usually not his own name, not a bunch of other things. It was like, hello, media, this one is for you. I want to play 2 clips back to back because it sort of, I think, represents something of this race. First, I'm going to play for you J.D. Vance and how he talks about Susan Collins. And then I'm going to play AOC and how she's talking about Platner. You tell me how you hear the tone of these.
Here's the thing I'll say about Susan Collins is sometimes I get frustrated with Susan Collins. I almost wish that she was more partisan. But the thing I love about Susan is she is independent because Maine is an independent state. And frankly, if she was as partisan as I sometimes wish that she was, she would not be a good fit for the people of Maine. So let's give a shout out to Susan Collins, who's doing a great job.
When it comes to the substance of this reporting, obviously there's a lot in that behavior that's really challenging. It's hard to stomach, you know, in some of it. But at the end of the day, I think that this is a choice. If that choice on the ballot is between that and a senator who's voted to take health care away from millions of Americans, that's the situation that we have to weigh.
I played these because one is like, it's hard to stomach, and the other's like, I get frustrated. Shout out though anyway, because I guess Maine. And I was like, these are not ringing endorsements.
But Audie, not only are they not ringing endorsements, the voter that we played in the package before, listen to her tone. Maine independents are the second largest party in Maine.
And a woman in particular,
and a woman and a Democrat who said she voted for Susan Collins against her will, it sounded like, from that thing. So, but those are some of the things that we're going to have to consider now. It's really about the character quality is something that Graham Platner has been trying to say. Forget about that. I'm from here. It's how she's voted, to Max's point.
Yeah.
But then also you hear the voters, and they're like a little still unsure because of those character issues with Platner.
Right,
So
and he's
been
been
really
telling a story for a while of like, you know, I went through difficult times. Now I'm a person who has changed. I want to ask one more thing. Collins and Trump. That's not a tight bond, okay? Can I just put it that way? Here's a list I'm going to play for you. Just some moments over the past couple of months where you hear her talking around Trump policies and where she stands on them.
The 60 days is a trigger. After 60 days, in my view, the president has to obtain congressional approval or Congress can block it. I do not believe that individuals who were convicted of violence against police officers on January 6th should be entitled to reimbursement for their legal fees. Concerned about the cuts in Medicaid and the impact on my state, but other states as well. I've talked with the Secretary of Homeland Security. I have strongly recommended to her that there be a pause on the enforcement surge in both Maine and in Minnesota.
Now, I've chased her in the hallways before, too. She often ends up voting with Republicans, whatever that party line is. Yeah. But is Trump going to get involved in this simply because of what's at stake with the Senate, or is he going to send surrogates? He'll be like, okay, JD, you go there. Like, can she expect any support there?
Yeah, I feel that's why he sent JD, and I feel he will, if he's smart, actually keep some distance from this. I mean, part of the thing at stake here is that they're independent. Maine is a little bit different. I mean, both these candidates come from sort of almost independent of the party because they really focus on the issues related to Maine.
From outside the party.
Exactly. So they're both sort of weirdly outsiders. Even though Collins has been Republican and part of the party for a long time, she's always struck an independent game this entire time. So I think that's going to continue during this race. That is her path, because if she does get too close to Trump, that's going to be the argument, saying, whoa, she's too MAGA, she's not too much for Maine, which is more or less a blue state.
So you're saying there's nothing to be gained there of him coming. Okay, you guys stay with me.